Croeso, welcome to Ceridwen Cottage Diary. Today we thought we'd do something a bit different and tell you a real life ghost story from here in Wales. If you have ever visited the village of Marford in Wrexham, you will have been immediately struck by the peculiar architecture of the majority of the houses. The village was largely rebuilt in the early years of the 19th century by the Trevor family of Trevallyn Hall, and the houses were all built to a unique design, a design which incorporated the adornment of every house and pub with a cross. Everywhere you look in Marford, you are faced with crucifixes. Crosses are set in at least one wall of every house, and some have crucifix-shaped windows, and they are all there for a purpose. They are there to keep at bay the wandering ghost of the Lady Blackbird. In September 1713, Madam Margaret Blackbourne of Roft Hall, now replaced by what is called Roft Castle, was murdered by her husband, George Blackbourne, the steward of Marford. George Blackbourne was a drunkard and a womanizer. One night of many nights, he returned home late, the worse for drink, and his tearful wife stood at the top of the stairs and demanded to know with whom he had been and whether he had been unfaithful to her. There was a furious row, and then a scream was heard and a loud thump. Then silence. The servants were too in fear of their master to investigate, and they stayed in their beds. The following morning, the body of Margaret Blackbourne was found, her neck broken, slumped at the foot of the staircase. The magistrates turned a blind eye to the incident, and a verdict of misadventure was brought by the coroner. 6 months later, George Blackbourne found himself a young wife. But he was to receive no peace with his new bride. From the night of his nuptials, the corpse of his murdered wife shifted uneasily in her tomb, and then crawled its way out and stalked off to Roft Hall. Every night, Margaret's body would walk through Marford to plague her husband and his young bride. The villagers would also know when she was passing, for she would stop at each house and would tap pathetically at the glass. Her pale face would peer through with dead eyes, her hair awry. Then she would proceed to roam through the corridors of her former home, moaning horribly. George moved to Trevallyn Hall at nearby Rosset, but his dead wife followed him there too. Eventually, an archdeacon was called in to lay the spirit, but he was only partly successful. Although Margaret's corpse was at last laid to rest, it seems her spirit continued to roam, for even into this century, villagers at Marford have claimed to see her face at their windows, to have heard the tapping at the glass, and which is why even new houses that are built in Marford make sure that crosses and crucifixes are built into them. The story of poor Margaret Blackbourne has passed into legend, and her history is largely forgotten. Her name has been corrupted so that she is now known as Lady Blackbird, the ghost of Marford.